Good morning, Mai-Liis.
Good morning.
How are you
Trying.
doing?
I'm doing all right, and yourself? I know we're a little late today because a few technical issues on the on your business side, but that's the fun of owning your own business, right? Things
Oh, and
happen.
it's technology, right?
Yeah, yeah. We
It's
rely on
um
it. It
it's a
doesn't.
love-hate
Yeah,
relationship with me and technology. So, we had a server that had kind of aged, computers become old
yeah.
at some point, and so we started a move from one server to upgrade to a new server back in February, but like there was hundreds of clients on that server, so it took some time to finalize and to move everybody over. And of course, there's always a little bit of glitches here and
Of
there
course.
because shit happens. And
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, so just we did this last little batch on the weekend. I'm sorry, which is why I'm so tired. And then yeah, some issues were encountered this morning, so I had a couple of clients knocking on my door for
So to
cause.
speak.
Like, I mean, they were,
Yeah, yeah.
everybody relies on everything so much,
Yeah,
email
we do.
and websites, and so yeah, so
It's actually scary how much we rely on it. And we realize how much rely on it when something goes down, right?
yeah, yeah. And I mean,
Sad.
businesses do so much business through
Yep.
email that, boy,
Anyway,
it
hopefully
is.
they'll be okay till after the show.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm finding the issues anyways, so it should be a easy resolve after that. So,
Good. Good. Perfect.
but
I'm
yeah,
trying. My resolve is this damn glare in my glasses. It's just, look at this one. It's just like a line. Well, this side, this side. I can't get rid of it. At least you can see my eyes a little bit. So
I
excuse the glare.
told you what to do. You gotta flip over. You gotta
I tried
move on
that
the other
too.
side.
I did. I tried that. Nothing seemed to help. So little by
Weird.
little. Yeah, I know.
You need anti-glare glasses.
I know. That's next on my list. Anyway,
Yeah. So we have an interesting guest today.
we do.
Yes, she's actually the topic of Lisa Gray's column this month in The Seeker. So it's
Yep.
The Wondrous Life of Jess Petipas. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right or not. We'll ask her how it's pronounced. But yeah, so she is a survivor. She has been navigating the mental health system for many, many years, and she's now advocating for better everything because it's quite the ordeal to try to get the help, and the help is there. It's just that oftentimes we don't know where to go, and so she's gonna come and talk about that and tell us her tips
But
from
it's
life
it's
experience.
it's not always about not knowing. It's you have to get on a list and then there's waiting and this and that. So that's another issue too at this point, I think.
Yeah, especially with the pandemic, like so many
Yeah.
of us have had issues, and I think the pandemic has probably given a lot of us a new
Perspective.
outlook and
Yep.
perspective on mental health,
Yep.
because a lot of us who would not have necessarily been prone to mental issues before have really gone in a dark place. So
Yeah.
so we can
Relate
probably
to all
relate
this.
a lot more. Yeah. So I'll bring her on right away. Welcome, Jess.
Hello.
Hi.
Good
I love
morning.
Hi.
your hair. It's so Harley Quinn.
Very, very, yeah. I'm a wigger. I wig out.
Oh, cool.
I've been wearing wigs for a very long time because I had my first bout of melanoma back in 2017. I'm actually going through another bout right now, and we're successfully doing well. But since they had to remove abscess and from my head, I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna buy some wigs, and I've been wearing them for 2 years now. So you will never know what I look like walking around town.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
That
awesome.
is awesome.
So
yeah.
multiple melanoma, you've got that.
Yeah, melanoma.
My
I
dad,
I
I
first
my dad
Yeah,
had
I
it
personally,
actually.
it's fun. I Right now I've got it targeted just on my back. I've always just had surface, and I have such a positive attitude based on the things that I've been through, which you will probably hear about today.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm able to talk about things so openly, because I've completely removed this stigma from my life entirely. And also, when I see it in our city, I'm very apt to use a positive frame of mind to try and address that publicly. I won't walk by injustice. I'm not that girl. And you may have heard stories. I know there are a few throughout town, crazy ones. Some of them are true. Believe them all. Um, but I remember one time in particular, I was walking down the street in East End, Cornwall, and I saw a girl who was suffering. You could obviously see that she was withdrawing. And I went over, and I happened to have a yogurt in my purse, and I sat down beside her and had a conversation with her. I think she was very shocked by that, extremely cautious. But because I was able to share with her, hey, I've been there, and just feel it out, because the best person to help another person with mental health or addiction issues is another person with mental health or addiction issues. And
Mhm.
it just so happened that a police officer was driving by, and I wagged him down, and I
Hmm.
had them take it. I had them take us. And anyways, I don't know what transpired after that, but that's not the point. The point is, I did not walk by her. I did not ignore her. I did not insult her or engage in other types of derogatory commentary with my community. That is called stigma-free living. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So back onto the melanoma. I don't have any family history. My mom's adopted. My dad's an only child. So I have no children. I have no close relatives. I have some second relatives. I've met them once, so it doesn't count. So I really only have me to rely on. So the first time, I didn't tell anyone because of the stigma of being a recovered person with substance abuse disorder, mental health issues, and then now I'm 2 years sober and I've got melanoma.
Mm.
So that was a process. This time I am talking about it because I'm 5 years plus into my recovery. And I've learned so much from the CAPSA organization in Ottawa, which I have brought to Cornwall. And we had our first Recovery Day Cornwall this year, where we had every single resource in and around the surrounding areas there. And that one day we had our MPs, and we also had the mayor there, and he went to every booth. Glenn is a wonderful man. He even spoke with me and to the crowd. It was horrible weather, but we have been told by the city that we will put in proclamation a Recovery Day Cornwall for
Oh,
next year, and we will try and
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
It's
so
well
that
needed.
really. But I'm going off on a tangent. Pardon
That's
me.
okay.
That is fine. We can be all over the place, and viewers, if you have any questions for Jess, you're welcome to type them into the chat, and we'll ask. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm really, that's what I was most looking forward to. When you asked me to do this, my brain went to immediately all the people that message periodically over the years. I can answer them all in a whole. I've
Yeah.
never done a podcast, so I was nervous. But we're here now, and I'm just talking to two other women that obviously are passionate about talking about the issues in our community. And
Hmm.
how can I pass up an opportunity like that? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So thank
Well,
you.
we both have a very um hands-on experience as well, because a lot of people around our circle have been struggling with mental health and addictions. Like my first husband was manic depressive, so it was a lot of highs and lows, I've lived. The person with the person lives it completely differently from the person themselves, but it's still living it. And and then I had a bout of depression back in like 20 years ago, but still it was something that opened my eyes, because I was always so critical of my ex-husband. Like, I'm like, just kick yourself out of it, like,
Mhm.
just kick yourself out of it. Then I had
Chemical
depression.
imbalances don't respond well to kicking.
Yeah, and with me as well, my oldest son, 33 years old, he just recently passed away this past November, and he had issues. He was self-medicating, trying to deal with stuff, and we were trying to help him the best we could too, but he had a massive heart attack. So I don't know what triggered it, if it was the stress he was living. We're not sure at this point, and we'll probably never know, but I'm having a hard time dealing with all that right now too, because he was
You
way
know,
too young to go.
that's a touchy topic that I'm going to touch on. I'm touching it. So stigma and the way people die kind of go together, because we're so sensitive to the families, and we're so sensitive to the words that we use in our social structure, that when people die of overdose, you don't see that. It says heart attack. And I'm not assuming anything, I'm making a point here. It says heart attack. It says heart condition. It says failure. It's an overdose, people, due to the condition of substance abuse over a long period of time. I think that's kind of like a sticky situation, because, say I'm a woman and my husband dies of overdose, and nobody knew he was an addict. Well, therefore, that shame is passed on to me. And how am I supposed to heal through that if I can't talk about it? And then also I don't want anybody to know he was an addict or had substance abuse disorder. So, like, if we don't talk about it, how the hell are we ever supposed to recognize it, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that bothers me a lot. I know 5 people that have passed away in 2 months here in our town, and we know, and that's not acceptable. It's not. I don't know where else to go with that, except that if we were more honest as human beings in general, that right there, the words we use are what make it easier for the next person to not die in silence. So this is just a theory that I have, right? Also, there's a lot of things that people don't know, like substance abuse and mental health affects every single human being, whether they have it or not. And I'm just so passionate because of the way I've been treated. I've been in and out of this is the easiest way. When I speak, this is usually what I say. I'm 41 years old. And out of my 41 years on this planet, if you add it all up, I have spent 14 consecutive years locked up, either in a children's institution, RO, Robert Smart Center, juvenile institution, Orleans, Ottawa, when it was co-ed, Innis. Innis is a little preschool for federal, been there too. So I've been in the system. I know the flaws. I've also worked on a couple of government panels, honorarium panels with Dr. Teresa, our healthcare professional. Also the corrections board. Why? Why, you ask? Because they need people that are uninstitutional. I had to be my own fucking hero. Oh, pardon my language.
It's fine. Anything goes. We're not censored. We're on the internet.
I was going to try and get through this without swearing.
Oh, I swear like it.
Oh, it's
I swear like a sailor, so don't worry about it.
Okay, Google.
It's apparently a sign of intelligence, so.
Well, I'll take that. So basically what I'm saying, without yapping too much, is that the system is flawed. There are some professionals that are so beautifully trying to work with us to help the system. I actually do go into schools and some medical facilities and teach nurses and social workers how to use recovery first language stigma ends with me, because they're not trained. In 5 to 9 years of medical school, doctors and nurses only get 4 weeks of addiction training.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. They don't get any training on language. detachment, or any of those things. How do I know this? I researched the crap out of it because I wanted to make sure that when I go out there in our community or wherever I'm going, that I am saying what I mean, meaning what I say when I say it, and not being mean when I say it, making sure that I have educated stats. Because listen, offense and defense is war. Any way you look at it, I'm Switzerland. I want to be neutral. I'm one of those people. I do have some social issues. I have a lot of social issues. I was born with psychosis. You know what? I'm open to talk about it. You will hear me a lot not use labels. I think you've noticed that already. I'm not labeling myself an alcoholic or an addict. I'm not telling you what mental disorders I have. Do you know the reason for that?
You don't want to use labels?
Well, because
Layman's terms.
you don't want to see the addiction or the illness. You want to talk
It's
about the
reinforcing
person.
it. Like if you label it, you're kind of reinforcing it, I guess.
Sorry, puppy. Yeah, it's the definition of stigmatizing yourself. Why would I put the minute I removed that label and I started saying hello to someone, the first time was maybe 3 years ago. I said, hello, my name's Jezebel, and I'm a person living gratefully well with mental disorders. They were curious.
Yeah.
They didn't, instead of, there's nothing wrong with whatever you choose to say, but words do have power. So when I use
Absolutely.
them, I want them to have the power of, I am a person. My name is Jezebel. I'm a human being. And I will say it once out loud, I am Jezebel. I have schizophrenia, ADHD, social anxiety, and severe anxiety, and substance abuse disorder.
Yeah.
That hurts me to say out loud. It really does.
Yeah.
Because when I say it out loud, it allows people to judge me.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why we don't get help.
So, returning to the 4 weeks of training that mental health people have. So let's say you're a person who was suffering with one of the illnesses that you mentioned, whatever, and you're in crisis and you end up in a hospital because you're in crisis. You go to the emergency, right? Like that's where you would go, and people don't know how to handle the situation or how to.
They don't. I can tell you an incident that I went to the Cornwall Hospital. I actually wrote about it publicly 2 years ago. I went there and I sat in a waiting room for over 6 hours with someone who was suffering from withdrawal. And they let several patients go in. And I listened very closely and I recorded it. And this woman, this nurse, I was getting upset, and you could physically see that. I didn't get up. I was not verbal at all. She came over, saw I was irritated, knelt down in front of me and put her hand on my thigh and said, you need to calm down.
Oh, jeez.
How that's escalating things, not de-escalating things.
I took this woman's hand very gently. I looked her in the eye and I took this facial expression. I took her hand off of me and I said, excuse me, we have been sitting here for 7 hours and this person needs a connection to a detox, and your hospital has direct referral, and we are not leaving here until we are seen. What you are doing is stigmatizing, and I will not tolerate it. That's what I said to her. And this happens. They let them wait in there until they leave. And I am not blaming nurses. I am not blaming anybody. There is no blame here. We're talking about why. Give us an answer, Cornwall, and solutions. If you need more employees or you need more people working in that, you should be looking at people like us that have been sober a certain amount of time, that have experience in the field, that you can collaborate. Like, you know how they have a PSW program, they have a mechanic program, they have all these programs, and they're only 10 months long, and they cost under $5,000. You're trying to tell me you can't make a mental health and addictions worker that doesn't affect a paper past? I've already created a program as such and have written it out. So if you're interested, any professionals out there listening, give me a call. My number is 613-861-2092.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
what I do is I call the colleges. I've been to Toronto University. I've been to Ottawa University. I've been to Algonquin. And I just go in there, just like Jezebel, tinfoil mouthpiece, sober savage. And I say, here's my business card. I'm a normal human being. This is what I'm trying to do. And I've been speaking to first year addiction students.
Nice. Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's important too, because it's one thing to have the book smarts. It's a total different thing to have the street smarts.
Yeah.
And have the experience of A, living with it, and B, being with people that are living with it, and
Yeah.
and you have a completely different perspective than theory,
You
so
do.
it's important. I think it would be really beneficial from having a program that would immerse people who have recovered into helping with other people's recoveries.
Yeah. And see, I don't really know what I'm doing.
But you're honest about
Like,
it.
I am. Okay, so here's the thing. I do have a little bit of education. I did take addictions and mental health programming through UBC University online. So I am a counselor. I could work in the field. I only worked in the field once for 6 months and I found it whoa. And I thought, you know what? I don't really know what I want to be when I grow up. So I don't. So I started my first year, I started my blog, Tinfoil Mouthpiece, Sober Savage, and I started writing. And I just wrote anything that I learned, anything that didn't sound right to me. And I wrote it always in like a statement. So I statement or we as a whole. And it grew and it grew, but it wasn't about the numbers. It's about the quality of interaction. I call them Jane Doe and John Doe. So I have a list of over 137 people that have called me since 2020 that live here in Cornwall.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to assist them through the system just based on me doing this with you. So I don't really know what I'm supposed to be when I grow up, but I think my higher power is telling me I'm doing it right now.
I think so.
I think advocacy and speaking is the gift of my purpose. I think some people are writers, some people, I mean, we're all gifted. Every single recovered person that lives with mental health and a substance abuse disorder is a miracle, if you ask me. And I feel like if I can't help you, or you don't even like me, that's fine. I can indefinitely find you someone who can,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what this is all about. I also want to take a minute to mention Madison, Jeremy, and Trevor, who are 3 wonderful people in this community that participated with Recovery Day Canada and are the first nonprofit in Cornwall opening up next month.
Oh, nice.
Their name is Help Mental Health and Addiction Services Cornwall. So please do check them out. Of course, it is their organization, although we have collaborated and I will be meeting with Madison. And we're hoping to have maybe some beds there, talk about some harm reduction, how we can have harm reduction more. I want to say thank you, Cornwall, and all the wonderful people that worked on the opioid crisis and Eastern Ontario Health Unit. I was on that board too for the van, the harm reduction van that's out and running around town with full schedule now. That's a start in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So this facility I'm talking about is going to be a drop-in center. We want it to be a comfortable place that's going to house some recovery meetings, maybe some similar programs to what mental health already has here in Cornwall, but we need more because there's not enough staff, there's not enough social workers, and it's not their fault, people. You have to be your own hero. You have to call every week. You have to. Or, I mean, the only other options are jails, institution, or death. I hate to put it to you, but that's all we got. So if you're out there and you're alone, even if you just need somebody to touch base with, you can't call me. I can hook you up with a male. Boys go together, girls go together. We want to keep that, it's very important that we work together. And I'm very active in our community. I know all of the meetings here in and outside town. I can even get you rides to detoxes within 2 hours. And we also have like wellness layovers. So like there's a few people in recovery here working behind the scenes that let people stay in their home.
Mhm.
or yeah, like I was reluctant to tell you this, but I've had over 7 young boys from St. Denis live with me. Why, you ask? Because their transition house isn't big enough to house the rollover.
Yeah.
And this one young man, of course, he remains anonymous. I respect anything you say to me, to Jezebel in this town, stays here in the vault. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I can't help you if you can't trust me.
Mhm.
And that, yeah, that's really important. That's another reason why a lot of us people with mental health disorders, we don't want to ask a professional because we've probably been, we've had an experience. But if
Yep.
you talk to someone like myself, or I know many other people like me, I'm not terminally unique. Okay. Um, um,
Could have fooled
but
me. Yes.
no, stop it. Um, we all have something special. I have a loud tinfoil mouthpiece. So, anyways, what I'm saying is that you are not alone. There is help. Don't let excuses like, oh, there's a wait list. Oh, this. Oh, I'm not good enough. You are enough the way that you are, and you deserve to have a quality of mental health that requires a little bit of extra oomph, and that's just really what we're dealing with right now. I have all those solutions. Of course, you notice how I'm speaking. I don't give everything away because a lot of things are private. I don't want to overrun certain institutions, and I have a full list on a clipboard of what's available, what I can do. So I really could do this for a job, but nobody's paying me, so but I love it. And if I can be a high functioning person with mental health. And, I've made mistakes in my recovery. I've made mistakes. I've been around people I shouldn't have been around that caused triggers for me. I didn't know what triggers were, even though I'm paper intelligent, even though I'm very smart. I had no emotional intelligence, suffering with
Mhm.
mental health and addiction for so many years. And I believe a lot of people can relate to that. And you have the feeling of, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm not worth it. I should, and those are ideations that you don't have to go through alone. And that's why I really want to get out there and be in the community and really just, I'm going to get emotional. I just really want to be of service, and I want to see people reaching out and not being afraid and not
Mhm.
dying,
Yeah.
And another thing I really, really want to hit on, because it's been bothering me for a year, is this one thing people say about fuck fentanyl dealers. Okay. I want people to understand really what stigma is. Okay. Fentanyl and drugs are crossed when they're put on scales at drug houses. Okay. So a lot of the times it's not intentional that those things have been tainted. Okay. Sometimes it is, but that's irrelevant. When you say fuck fentanyl dealers, you are saying fuck that human and their family and their mother and their children and their father. You're no better. Right? If we were to say, I reached out to someone that said that and said, where's the fentanyl dealer? I messaged him. I called someone who was doing really good advocacy in our town who unfortunately got arrested. I called him in prison and spoke to him, and said, don't be afraid to come back to our town and hold your head high. It's just a relapse, man. You can
Mhm.
do this.
Mhm.
And that's what we need. I don't look at the fucking police blotter. I don't read the news. I read your paper. I read the national once a week, and I read the local news, and that's it. Okay. If you aren't paying attention to everybody else's lives, you are a part of the problem. Sorry. I don't care what you say.
True. I
Mhm.
mean, it's
Yeah.
nobody's business, right? And
It's shaming.
it's not black and white. It's like it's all the shades of gray in between. And it's like, um, is it like, does the mental illness come first? Does the addiction come first? Is it like, it's so intertwined?
Yeah.
A lot
They
of
go together.
people.
It's called
Yeah, it's
dual diagnosis.
right.
Dual diagnosis concurrent disorders is the actual medical word for what happens. And I can explain that process to you. There are only 3 ways a person becomes an addict.
Hmm.
Would you like
Go
to know
ahead.
that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I would love to know that.
Okay. So the most common um, would be childhood abuse. But when people think of childhood abuse, they think of actual physical, right? Sometimes mental, but they don't think about psychological warfare. Okay. So I'm going to use myself as an example because I'm a very specific case. I endured corporal punishment. Do you know what corporal punishment is?
Spanking?
Military.
Okay.
So when I came to school, I will tell you one story and one story only. I use it when I do my speaking because, I don't want anybody to get too far down the rabbit hole. Okay. My father was military. My father had an alcoholic father that abused him, locked him in cupboards, and beat him. He was an only child. He left home at 15, joined the military, and the military had corporal punishment. Corporal punishment is psychological warfare, but it is not beating. They don't hit the military soldiers. They put them in holes. They string them up with rope. They hose them down with pressure washers. That's what happened to me. So when I went to school, my father, that's not my father's fault. My father's a wonderful man, intelligent man, loving man, but he was doing better in his mind because if it was good enough for the Canadian military, it must be okay. Discipline is love, right? So I didn't find that out till much later in life. And of course I had my daddy doesn't love me syndrome, right? But that was never the case. That was never the case. I'm very lucky to have my father to have had a conversation with me like that later in life. But let me get to the point. So, I stole $50 from my dad's wallet and got strung up and sprayed with his pressure washer, right? I go to school the next day and I see a kid who's got a black eye and scrapes all the way down the side of his body. I am a little girl crying for them, going, at least my daddy doesn't do that to me, So that is an example of childhood abuse on two different sides, right? We've got social work dealing in the schools and this kid is visible. And then I've got corporal punishment, a stripe across my back from a pressure washer, but I didn't know that was abuse, right?
Yeah.
So as I get older, I move across the world. I moved from British Columbia to Europe. I know no one, mostly don't speak the language everywhere we go. My little brother is all that I have as a friend. I miss those crucial points of socialization that are so important in a child's life. So was this my parents' fault? Absolutely not. Is it the system's fault? Absolutely not. My parents did everything those doctors told them to do, and they had very little information on my disorder back then. So I endured lithium. I now have stomach problems. I endured partial lobotomy at 11 years old. I have brain glitches.
Wow.
I endured being locked up in my first juvenile facility for 6 months when I was 9 years old. So you see, I was already traumatized before I put one substance to my lips. That's one way, and perfect examples, right? And I don't mind sharing. The other way would be acute trauma, which would be like you go through your life, you live a pretty normal life. There's not a lot of abuse going along in this kid's life, but then something traumatic happens. And they pick up a substance, and instead of using coping skills, they progress. That's another way. The third way, which I've heard a lot, which is really, really sad, is induced addiction in children through abusive parents. I know someone who had their first drink at 11 months old.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. One of my sponsees, in fact, she lives in Australia. Wonderful, wonderful lady. And, when you get sober, you really are that emotional age. So think about it. This is a theory that I've come up with. This is one of the things that I've written down in this program for training, okay? That I believe would really, really help if we collaborated, because I don't have a lot of paper smarts. I would like to. But what was I going to say? It's like, you really have to have a person trust you to be able to help them. And how can you do that when the whole world has taught you not to trust them? How do you do that? And that's why I say I'm not the only one. That I know lots of people out there. It took me a long time to be able to come in front of you and talk like this. A long time. I did live videos back in the day, but I was a different person then. Now I'm much softer around the edges. And it scares me sometimes.
It's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see your vulnerability
Yeah.
and your smarts, and I really hope that you can help so many people in our community. Like
You're
you're
very,
really good and positive
yeah.
force. Like
attitude of gratitude is the only way. That's the first thing. Whenever somebody calls me, like somebody called me last week about how to, I have somebody that needs a sponsor. I'm like, okay, just a mentor, sponsor, a wise friend, someone to help you through the program or to vent off of. And she said, how do you find a sponsor? I said, well, it's kind of slim pickings here in Cornwall. But what I do is I do a Zoom room every Sunday,
mhm,
and we do gratitude check-in.
nice.
So, and then I have some people that contact me, they don't have a sponsor and they're on a wait list. So we do a gratitude list every day. So I got about a good 40 plus people that text me every day 5 things they're grateful for, different
Nice.
every day. Yeah. And
I,
that's
I
really
I
how
love
it started.
I love that you're not waiting, you know? I love that you're taking action. I love that you're not waiting for this or that or the other to be in place. You're
Mhm.
just getting things done.
Yeah.
It's
I'm creating it, but I don't know how I'm doing it. Like, I really don't. And please do keep in mind that a lot of people do help me. My mentor, his name, he would not mind me sharing because I was so excited. We talked about this. My mentor, I have 2. So I have a female. All right. Let me back it up. Let me back up the bus. So because of the form of abuse that I had, I didn't match well with female sponsors. Because when I got to that type of abuse, most of them were mothers. They would get very triggered by it, and I'd feel so bad. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to work my program if I can't work with a female? Well, one day I was in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and this man, Matt, was speaking. And Matt used to be an infantry soldier. He used to train. He's done so many things in the military, and he's also very active at the Cornwall Mental Health Center behind the scenes as well. And he was speaking. He was doing a 15-minute share, and I had been in the program for a year and a half. I did not work a program. I did not make any friends. I was not on the interweb doing what I do now. I was mean. I came in like this. If you fucking tried to touch me, I would push you and tell you to fuck off. I was very sick. I was not mentally well. I wasn't mentally stabilized. I was only, a year and a week sober, and I didn't have a mentor. So he's speaking and he's talking about his military experience. I'm going, how the hell can this man have gone through corporal punishment and be this cool Zen hippie? Like, this is not possible. So I am just drawn to this man, like just tunnel vision. And then he said something that we will be friends forever, because he said, if you think you won't get it, please know that there's a young lady in this room that's been coming here for a year, and she's really angry. She always brings her notebook, and she always shares what she's grateful for. And she stayed, and she's here. And that's all you have to do is keep coming back and stay. I bawled. I beelined for him in the parking lot and begged him to be my sponsor. He was talking about me.
Yeah. That's
No
what I
one had
figured.
ever talked about me in a good way, ever.
Mhm.
And that man, to this day, I love you, Matt, if you're listening. He drives me to my taxidermy. I'm a taxidermist. He drives me.
Okay,
I am.
I'm crying.
We'll get into that. He drives me to my taxidermy apprenticeship 3-4 times a week through the winter. Anytime I have an issue, a problem, he is at my door. He doesn't take no for an answer when he knows my character flaws. He's the first person I really let know me. And he has encouraged everything I've done. I said, maybe I should write a blog. He says, yes, you should. He says, maybe I should. Yes, you should. He has always, I don't know what I would do without him. And so many other members. You go to some of the recovery meetings in this town, and I tell you, you're going to find some family. You walk through that door, you are not alone. You are not alone. I guarantee it. And if you don't like that meeting, go to all of them. Find them all. I've got over 1,000 online, and I've got 3 24-hour rooms for
All
mental
right.
health and addiction. So they're really, there are the unfortunate, though. And let's take a minute to talk about them, the unfortunate. There are the unfortunate, and the unfortunate sometimes just don't want help. So
And
what can you do?
that's the issue. That's the issue. You have to want the help. That's the thing. And that's unfortunately what happened with my son. We tried and tried and tried, and he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready.
So what can somebody do when they see somebody being self-destructive, self-sabotaging, and keep going to the addiction, but you know that talking is only gonna aggravate the
Yeah.
whole situation oftentimes. So what do you do?
Well, with family members, it's awful difficult, because let's think about it logically. Okay, we've got a lot of built up resentment, right? A lot of built up resentment, and it shows in body language and other things as well. So often our family members are not always the best ones to help us, right? So that's one thing I want to say. So I'm going to talk about your side now, who you are and the part that you play, because you love us, and bless you for it. You're not going to like what I'm about to say, but oftentimes it's very important to detach with love and seek assistance and counsel for yourself. Why? Because it will help to guide you through how to best help that person without triggering them further. And it will also help you to deal with if they should die. Right? I know that sounds harsh. I know it's not what you want to hear. But the bottom line is things like Al-Anon, Alateen, and ACA, which everybody should do, in my opinion, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. I've been a member for 3 years. Those meetings teach our loved ones how to have boundaries, how to help us, how to love. So the answer is, I cannot give you specific answers because every case is different. I can tell you that protecting your own mental health while helping your loved one is imperative, right? Examples. For 20 years, my parents let me walk all over them. I stole my mom's brand new Mazda 3, flipped it 3 times, and my dad found the GPS, found me, pulled me out of the car, videotaped it, and then they had me put in jail. That was smart. They had a restraining order on me for 4 years. That was smart. They had come to terms with my death, but I'll tell you why. Because my brother was 17. We're in a car accident in 2001, and I lived, he died.
Wow.
We were both drunk and high, and it was a week before his 17th birthday. And I remember calling my parents from prison, asking them I haven't talked to them in years. And I remember asking them to take me out. I think this was about 2010. And I knew no one without a criminal record. I knew even my sponsor couldn't get me out because my charges were so bad, right? And I called my dad, and my mom and my dad got on the speakerphone and said, listen, we've come to terms with your disease, and we've come to terms with your brother's death. And if you choose to die that way too, we're okay with that. We love you. Click. That set a ball in motion. Yeah.
That's hard.
I went hardcore for 7 more years, ended up in prison again. And then I had been in and out of AA, NA, all of the A's. Most of my 20s, my 30s. I came in my first program when I was 26. I didn't get sober till I was 36. I'm now 41. I just celebrated 5 years in November.
Congrats.
So yay, yeah. Milestones are important. I never thought I would be here doing this. I never thought, I didn't think I would make it past 25. When I did, I just kept going harder. And mine was very progressive throughout the years. But my parents did a lot of things that were suggested to them through actually Al-Anon and also their therapists, right? So detaching with love is really hard for family members, but sometimes necessary. Or, you can still be in their life, but you have to have good boundaries. So when they call you asking for money, there's no gift cards because we sell them for drugs, people. There's no there's no buying us clothes with tags on it because we'll sell them for drugs, people. But you can bring us food. You can offer always to take us to a meeting or whatever it is you're doing that's conducive to our well-being. You never stop loving. Never stop trying, but you must have boundaries or we will manipulate, beguile, and walk all over you. We are masters of it. And it is not, we don't want to do it. It's a disease.
Yep.
Right? And, if you want to argue with me that it's a choice, good freaking luck. It's in the Canadian Medical Journal. So I don't argue with people.
Yeah.
Sure, you're right. Whatever. I don't care. I know what I know. So, and I know that I cannot take a substance because it alters my mood. But see, the thing is that when we stop, the first couple of weeks are the hardest because we have pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome. And they're so intense that we want to numb them immediately. And that's why sometimes detox is absolutely necessary for hardcore drug users. A lot of people that have alcoholism too, you're at high risk if you're not getting medical detox. If you've been drinking 25 years, you could have a heart attack. Your liver could burst. You don't know. And detoxes are a lot easier to rotate through. So for example, if you can go to a detox for a week and then hook yourself up with a recovered person or a one-on-one counselor at the Mental Health Cornwall Center, which is possible within 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not kidding. It's yes. Then you can probably do outpatient on your own. But we don't know what we can do because we don't talk like this in Cornwall.
So here's a question. So if somebody's waking up this morning and saying, that's it, I don't want this anymore, where do they go? Like, can you just check yourself into detox?
As an adult, you have to call and you have to book it. Yeah. So for example, there's Montreal Road, there's 5 detoxes within an hour to 2 hours of us. Their wait rates are not that high because the longest you stay there is maybe 2 weeks, right? So you would have to call the detox and, they're easy to Google. You just Google Ottawa detox, Kingston detox, Brockville detox. And you call them yourself and you say, I'm a person, I can't stop. And okay, we'll put you on the bed list. Shouldn't take more than about a week or 2. Now, of course, it's going to be hard to get through those 2 weeks, but that gives you an opportunity to reach out to a recovery person, go to a freaking meeting, maybe get some phone numbers. And that's the meat and potatoes in our community. We are all behind the scenes. We are here. We need to come out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. But anyway, I'm not ashamed. I'm not shy. I have no fear. You can't hurt my feelings because my feelings are mine. What taught me that? Going through every single mental health program at the Cornwall Mental Health Center, having a one-on-one counselor, having a psychotherapist, having a mentor in AA, doing all of the recovery programs. We even opened a Dharma recovery meeting here on Friday nights. And Dharma is very new to people in our community. We are the very first Dharma recovery meeting in Ontario.
What is it?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Dharma recovery is based on the Buddhist practice. Very loosely based. We do a lot of meditation and we talk about the 3 agreements. So it's a little bit different than doing a 12-step program, but let me tell you something about the 12 steps, okay? It's called the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's this big, huge blue book and it looks really intimidating. And it has Old English and it was written in the early 1930s, right? And it's never changed. Well, there's a reason for that because the literature is direct as a manual, a textbook. It is not meant to be used as a leisurely story of how to recover. It is meant as a textbook to use with a mentor to teach the true meaning of how it works through the step. So now what I did was I didn't have enough social interaction. I felt like something was missing in my recovery. So I went online and I found clean and sober punks. Obviously, I am a punk, right? And I thought, oh my God, this is what? Oh, it was a non-secular 12-step group. And it said, welcome freaks and geeks and weirdos.
Oh, good.
I'm in. So I go to this meeting online and I'm just bawling at 4 years sober. I'm home. I was missing proper social interaction with people
With
that I
people.
like.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So, then that's what they teach you in the program, principles before personalities. Often you will not like people in those rooms, but it doesn't matter. You all suffer from the same thing and you're all there for the same thing, to help each other, be of service. So you put your principles before your personalities. So I had to find outside rooms. So when I went there, I found Dharma, and I had we call it a Sangha, which is really just a group, a family. So my Sangha did some Reiki healing with me, and I had never ventured into that spirituality before. And once I was aligned, I became this woman that is just so fierce and unstoppable. And I was like, yeah, I'm not letting humans stop me anymore. I found my group, and then I started practicing Dharma. So I can meditate completely, even or surrounded by people, for approximately 30 minutes now. And that took 2 years.
Wow.
When I used to react, because we're reactors, right? Anyone that has mental health, active mental health or active substance abuse, we are reactors. We don't know how to control any emotional regulation whatsoever, right? So, and that's not our fault. That's just, and I'll explain that in a minute. But Dharma is how it works, okay? The big book is the instructions of how it works. But it doesn't say that anywhere. This is something you learn from your own experience. And please take what you need and leave what you don't from me, okay? There might be some things I say you don't really care about at all or think I'm crazy, but that's just fine by me. Just find what works and stay alive, not dead, will ya? So, yeah. So Clean and Sober Punks, Punks in Recovery have been an online family. I'm flying down to see them this year. We all go to shows together, and we practice the 12 steps hardcore. And I love them. If it wasn't for those groups, I wouldn't be so loud in Cornwall, because I was quite alienated for a while. I really was. And listen, that's why I say I'm not terminally unique. None of us are, but I do recognize that I am artistic. I artistically and aesthetically am different in Cornwall. But when I go to California, fuck, I'm nothing. I'm a spring chicken. Like when I go back home to Victoria, East Van, the punk scene, they you know what they call me? They call me a Punkalina fluffy punk. They think I'm fluffy, like a hippie, which I kind of am, but anyways, that's my point. So what I'm saying is that when you're waiting for help, that's what you do. You got to call a detox on your own if you're over the age of 18, because no one can do it for you. If you are having trouble, you can actually, like if you're having the shakes, the DTs, or you're withdrawing, you know what? You call me and I will get you through the detox. I'll do all the talking for you and then hand the line over if you want. No problem. Done it many times. Not a problem. If it takes that for you to get the help that you need, I'm willing to do that. I've done it many times. But that's what you have to do. That's your first step. If you cannot withdraw with a safe person in a safe environment medically, and you need medical help, you need to go to a detox. There are 5 in our surrounding areas. And I also want to give a shout out to my friend Aaron. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning him. Aaron is a wonderful person. Aaron is born and raised here, and he started a small Facebook page called The Addicts Agenda. So please go join that group. It's a support group. It's the only local group that we have here besides my Tinfoil Mouthpiece blog that's helpful in our community, I hope. And Aaron has been very motivational. I've watched him grow, and he knows so many people in this community too. And I really hope to collaborate with him in the future. I've asked him a couple of times, but it's just not the right timing is all, right? So I just want to give a shout out to Aaron. I love you. I hope to spend some more time with you and get to know you better. And I hope we can do some recovery and fun shit together. All right, bro? So a couple shouts out to people that have worked really hard in the community, Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely
but
fine.
the basic thing is you have to want the help, right?
You do have to want the help. Although I want to point out that the reason why I emphasize on contacting someone like myself or someone like Aaron or Madison or people that are in recovery is that sometimes we have the je ne sais quoi, the really I don't know what to tell you that you don't have. right? And I can't explain it. Sometimes it's called a 12-step call in AA. Where you go to someone's home, like a family. I've done this. So a family member called me and they said, my cousin this, no, 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 no. So I asked a whole bunch of questions, nothing personal, just where do they live? What drugs do they use? Are they willing to talk to someone, right? I asked the basic general questions that an intake nurse would ask,
Mhm.
okay? And then I go from there. I go, okay, well, here are our options. What would you like to do? And they tell me. So I then I called that cousin and said, hi, did your cousin talk to you about me? Do you remember who I am? And yeah, and we started having a conversation. He was a little defensive at first, but I was able to help him and say, that's okay. I understand. I think these people just really love you a lot,
Mhm.
And then he'd talk some more. And then I'm like, well, I don't know if you want help, but if you do, I'm here and you have my
Mhm.
number now, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And you have all the information I gave you, right? Yes. Okay.
So it's kind of like an intervention, but yeah,
Without intervention and
right,
shame.
Yeah.
right, right, right.
Right? It's not conducive to bring a person who's
Yeah,
ill out in
can
public
you
and
can you imagine how humiliating that would be?
To
I
It's
bring
know
them
funny
how it is
because
away.
because my parents did it to me.
I was just watching Breaking Bad last night with my kids. I'm rewatching it,
Mhm.
and then there was this episode where Walt is, you know, I want to say like hijacked by his family, where he goes in the room and then they're all there waiting with the pillow,
Yeah.
the talking pillow,
Yeah.
waiting for doing an intervention. Like, I'm like, oh my
Do you
god, like
think
that
any
is
of those people had any lived experience?
no. And
No.
like,
Sorry, but that's funny. And I was just
yeah.
talking about this in fellowship after a meeting last night. Sometimes after a meeting in Zoom, we stay in the room and we goof around, right? And we were talking about the show, The Soft White Underbelly and intervention. And I actually know someone who was on the first intervention show for transgender,
Mm-hmm.
and it was horrible. But we were talking about how horrible the show was and why but then we were talking about the good aspects that came out of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm talking about, I think if I were to develop it into an educational program, what I would call would be a family recovery liaison. That's what I've decided that it would be called and what it
Yeah,
kind of is, right?
Yeah.
it
And
makes
that's
sense.
Yeah, and that's what I did. It's just a guider, a helper. And there's a lot of people that are employed in the United States that have criminal records that took one mental health course for 6 months, and this is what they do for a living independently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of looking towards doing that myself. So
Mm-hmm.
because I already know so many people and have participated with the professionals here, I'm kind of hoping they might I don't know how yet. I've said that a couple of times, but dog will tell me, doing only good. My higher power will tell me when it's ready what to do. But I know that something's going to happen and it's going to be great. And I don't know what it is, but I feel it, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
I feel it. Recovery liaisons would be so great here. It would increase a little bit of employment. It would help to educate people that, like imagine somebody just comes out of Innis Penitentiary and their parole officer says, oh, by the way, I have a part-time job for you being a liaison. Now you have to follow the program. You have to stay sober.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
beautiful?
Yeah. It
And
would
that's
make
what I
sense.
did in the prison system. The honorariums I went to do were to do a trial program for jail recovery liaisons for
Mm-hmm.
people like myself to be partnered with recent or up for parole out being released so they can function in society because we're so
Mhm.
institutionalized,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
COVID hit and they canceled all my contracts for 2 years.
Yeah. This
So had to
darn
go back on the
COVID.
system. Yeah, had to take shitty jobs. So,
Yeah.
but hey,
Yeah.
I mean, you do what you got to do.
Absolutely. So, Jess, before we leave, I want to be reassured that you will give us all this information for us to put out there. I want to make sure that our viewers have all the information they need, all the resources,
Mhm.
and or just your phone number, and they can contact
Well,
you if there's anything.
Jesus, Murphy, I wish oh, wait, do I have it here? Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Shoot, I don't have it. Okay, so I actually, well, I just don't have it on hand, but the city, actually, the Eastern Ontario Health Unit paid for us to make a piece of paper for Recovery Day that's double-sided that has everything from Ottawa here to Akwesasne.
Okay.
So I have been distributing those flyers throughout the city. There are some at Mental Health, and I will take a picture of it and post it online as well.
Great. That's
Wonderful.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that is it for us today. It's already 11:15. The time flew
Wow.
by. You're a great guest. I didn't have to talk at all.
No, it was
Is that
wonderful.
a good thing or not?
It is. It's a good thing. I didn't have to think at all. So that's great.
But you
I
And,
gave
wanted
us,
to jam as much as we could
yeah,
into this.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you certainly did. You certainly
And
did.
listen,
Wow.
Bless you.
let's get together and talk about how we as a seeker can help get your message out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do this together. This is a we thing. And I need you guys. I need you all. So anybody that's curious or interested or, whatever, hit me up. I am public.
Awesome. All right,
Okay.
Jess, have a great day.
Thank you
so
so
See you
much.
soon. All right.
Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right,
Wow.
Mai-Liis. So, as you know, I have to go. Like, I have some business to tend to, unfortunately, today. So I guess our taste test will have to wait until next week.
I don't
And
think this will wait, but
oh, well, we can get it again next week to
Yeah,
taste it. If you have any suggestions about what we can try on our Monday morning motivation, please let us know. Send
Well,
it in the text
I am
box
going to
below.
let people know what we are going to taste next week. So if they want to purchase it, they can.
There you go.
So we have tortilla chips made by Farm Boy. So you can purchase them at Farm Boy. And then we have the cranberry pecan ball. And what's
Mm-hmm.
yours, Julie? I can't remember.
Mine is bacon cheddar.
What
Whoops.
we did was, yeah, bacon cheddar and cranberry pecan cheese ball. And these are both made at Farm Boy as well. I'm really anxious to try them, but we're going to do it next Monday, guys. So if you want to purchase it in between, you can join us next Monday and try it with us.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's it for today. If you have events, don't forget to send them to either info@theseeker.ca or go on our website at theseeker.ca and click on events and submit your event for the calendar.
Especially for April. Things
Yep.
are opening up and we're working on the April Seeker, and we would love to see at least 2 pages of events
Yep. That'd be great.
in there.
All right, guys. So that's it for us for today. Have a great day.
And a super duper week.
See you next week.
Bye.